Maggie was never happy. She buried the exuberant part of her mom and tried to be a domineering corporate, like her dad. But one trip to Calpurnia, more like one person, brought out who she's always wanted to be. Maggie liked reading to a bunch of kids in her free time. Kids were always her first love, but she was a certified lawyer and top of her class. Her hobbies could not pay the bills, so she had to find a real job. Her job interviews always made her uncomfortable. She was a great lawyer, but she hated it with every fiber of her being. Less because of the lawyering, and more because of helping douchebags get richer. But after this unpleasant interview, Maggie goes to breakfast with her best friend, Sarah, where she complains incessantly about the weight of duty. Sarah had an amazing idea. Let's take a trip. Maggie wanted no parts in this. She could be called by the company at any time, and she needed this job. This wasn't the time for trips, but Sarah insisted. Her mom was so happy about this, it felt like vicariously living her youth. But her father was logical, asking her to stay and focus on getting the job. But as worried as she was, she left with Sarah to the small beautiful country of Calpurnia. All she did was continuously check her phone if the company had reached out. But Sarah urged her to be adventurous and explore. It was a vacation after all. Sarah met a fine young gentleman she wanted to explore and left Maggie to walk the streets by herself. In an unfortunate event, she almost got hit by a mysterious bike rider. He stopped to look back and saw Maggie and decided to make this stranger more uncomfortable. Maggie decided to follow him to get back her hat, and she followed him into a gothic alley. He appeared behind her and introduced himself. Maggie definitely liked what she was looking at, and Adrian wanted to grab coffee sometime, but she didn't want to, and she barely knew anything about him. But Maggie got intrigued after he magically stole her watch, and she stayed to talk a little bit more. Adrian was going to show up at her hotel at 8 p.m. and she could totally decide not to come. Maggie reconnected with Sarah to tell her about this charming prince, but it turns out he actually was. Adrian was the heir to the throne of Calpurnia, but never acted like it, which made his mom furious. His dad was one of the greatest rulers Calpurnia had ever seen, stable and traditional, but Adrian was spontaneous and adventurous, which made his mom question his future rule. Adrian could not wait to meet Maggie, but he was caught up in endless meetings with people he believed expressed the ultimate hypocrisy and were stuck in outdated traditions. Maggie waited with Sarah as this charming prince was a no-show, but out of nowhere did he appear, and Maggie's face lit up once again. He was brilliant and witty, and Sarah loved him. She didn't want to be a third wheel and left them alone to enjoy their date. Somehow, two people from very different worlds connected in the most unexpected way. Their families were very similar, and so were their upbringings. The night ended with a nice firm handshake, and their adventure was taking the proper course. The next day, Adrian sends a special delivery to her hotel, and Maggie was shocked since she didn't order anything. In addition to this gesture was a note inviting her to another date. Sarah was an avid supporter of this exciting romance. She was all for the adventure. Maggie met Adrian on this wonderful pier, and she marveled at the beauty of the country. But all Adrian could focus on was hers. They were having a wonderful time, but Adrian received a duty call and abruptly left. Sarah and Maggie had an itinerary to visit the museum after her date, and something amazing happened when they did. Sarah saw pictures of people that looked very familiar and told Maggie to check it out. Maggie was in confusion at first until she realized, that's Adrian. They ended up checking him online, and they did not like what they saw. It turns out Adrian was the charming prince who had multiple flings with beautiful foreigners that visited their country, and Maggie's excitement waned. Later that day, Adrian came to visit Maggie, and he realized she somehow found out. Adrian explained to her that she liked him without a crown, and that is what he loved about her. She asked all about the other girls, and he told her the tabloids liked confusing his generosity with promiscuity. He wanted to show her who he really was and took her to his foundation. He asked someone to speak to her and tell her all about this foundation, and that is when she realized he was right. He was just a nice, loving person, like the guy he met on the very first day. Since Maggie was so adamant on knowing everything about him, he invited her to a royal dinner at the palace. Maggie, in all humility, denied, but Adrian was persistent until she accepted. Now Maggie was struggling. She didn't have any dresses packed for royal dinners, but she unexpectedly received a knock with beautiful dresses from Adrian, who thought she'd be having this very problem. She arrived at the dinner in all her glamour, and Adrian could not stop but stare. The queen was not very happy allowing strangers into their home and asked her people to do a background check on her. The dinner was a complete disaster as Adrian riled up most of the people at the dinner, especially his mother. He wanted to open up his coronation to the general public, and his mother was vehemently against it. The queen wanted to know what Maggie thought, and the support for Adrian infuriated her. Adrian came knocking, but not through the front door, wanting to spend more time with her. Their connection had been leading to this very moment, and the kiss finally happened. Unlucky for them, the tabloid got pictures and leaked it out the next morning. Maggie could not go anywhere without being recognized, and Adrian came to check on her to make sure she was okay. But this beautiful love was coming to an end when Maggie received an unexpected call from the law firm, giving her the job. She was partly thrilled about the job, but it also meant this beautiful journey had come to an end. But no one was more elated than the queen, who sets this all up by giving the law firm a huge sum of business. Maggie went to talk to Adrian to tell him about this news, but Adrian remembered this is a job she said she hated. She convinced him that it was a great career choice and she had no other option than to take it. They always knew this was going to come to an end, and the time had finally come. Adrian pleaded with her to stay, but her mind was already made up. Somehow, this very event made Adrian become the man his mother always wanted. He left the streets to become more in tune with the affairs of politics. Sarah saw how sad Maggie was as she packed her things and begged her to reconsider this decision closely. She called Adrian to tell him to show his true self to his mom, and when she realized Adrian was never going to do it, she took matters into her own hands. Her mom finally visited his foundation and saw the work he was doing and realized she had pegged him all wrong. He knew him as much as the tabloids did, thinking he was frolicking with women all over town. But with this insight, she started seeing him differently and finally listening to him more. She decided to open his coronation to the general public and invited his toddlers to sing at the event. Maggie received an invite to this coronation, and for the first time in Calpurnia history, it was open to all, and she was happy she had a part to do with it. The queen made a trip to Maggie's hotel to speak to her. For a moment, Maggie thought it was Adrian. The queen thanked her for coming to see her, because without her, she would have never gotten to know her son, and she told her the truth surrounding her job. She got out of the car, and Sarah wanted to know what happened. She told her it was the queen, and she offered her a job as a multinational legal person helping children foundations. Now she had other offers on the table to make an informed decision. Adrian waited patiently, hoping she would show up, but when she didn't, he gave up. His coronation happened, and while he was living his duty, his adventure walked through the door. He had never seen a woman so beautiful. For a second, he lost focus, but he ended up becoming king and went to take the hand of his rightful queen. Moral of the story? Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to MOG Central on our homepage for your best content ever.